Nice.
All right. Here we are with the Fallen Gods. The Guys Gone Wild Mount logo is a little literal today. Leah was having some some personal issues that she's gonna take the day off, and makes sense. Um, as as we'll move along with our show must go on attitude, even in the face of whatever the plural for apocalypse is. Soda's cheaper than water. So we've got Patrick in as Helm, and Madi in as the Red Knight, and Bao in as Bakab. And let's see, I guess we'll go ahead and address. We had another member, and oh my god, I am really that bad with names. I remember people based on their character names.
Caitlin.
Caitlin.
Caitlin, that's right. They had, oh man, they've been having a year. Just like thing after thing after thing after thing just kept happening to them, and so they understandably were like wanted to bow out and take some time for themselves, and nothing but love and support for them. Hope they have an easier year going forward, because geez, they were just like, they were having the 2020 of years. But yeah, wish them the best. Hopefully we'll see them again in the future. We will get started. They're left off last time. Bakab and Corlin went off to a neighboring city in the neighboring country, just off to the west of your guys' location. Made some contacts, found out that there is a location where they were hoarding godly artifacts, the kind of things that Helm has found one of his ancient artifacts and is now attuned to it. There are some options going on. The other three, Sihanin, Helm, and the Red Knight, were back in town doing some downtime activities. Noticed a large flying thing of some kind start dive bombing things in the distance, which then showed up in your area and blew up a few houses as this swan-like dragon figure blasting breath weapons of thunder, destroying buildings and severely injuring some of you. You were able to injure it enough that it had to flee. Weren't able to take it down before it got out of range, and you all, Bakab excluded. I get my directions mixed up here. Bakab excluded. You all are kind of standing there in the wreckage of several homes. Most people have fled the area, and you're all kind of standing there looking at each other. So, Red Knight and Helm, what do you two want to do at the moment?
I kind of want to check, make sure our home is still intact.
Mm-hmm.
Probably should do that. We've spent a lot of time working on that.
It's only like a block away, which is where the worry comes from. You can kind of check it out. There's no direct damage to it. There's some debris that landed on it from the exploding of nearby homes, but your little hole in the ground is just fine.
Good.
So what do we do now?
You are seeing some guards approaching from the inner areas of the city. It looks like they were paused at the gates for a while, like ushering people into the walls of the city. Not that walls were gonna help that much, but just out of habit, just getting people out of the area. Guards have come out with like heavy crossbows, looking around. A few come up to the you2 and Sihanin and say like, "Are you all right? Should we get you into the city?"
We're fine. The beast seems to have fled for now.
Yeah, if you just look over there, you can see some smoke and the smell of burnt duck or goose or something. Long story.
Some of the villagers that ran in mentioned something about a giant goose of some kind um, that could breathe thunder.
Yeah,
I assumed there was a mass madness that affected people. No.
no,
Uh,
I mean, madness wouldn't do this.
Yes, there's clearly been actual destruction. My goodness, another guard comes up and it's like, "We're making a perimeter." It's like, "Yes, go." Um, they kind of rush past to try to set up some kind of perimeter around the city. Um, it's like, well, all right. If you're going to remain outside the city walls, beware. We've also been receiving reports from the outer farmlands that creatures of darkness and shadow are slaughtering livestock and attacking people. So, I would recommend entering the city, but I cannot force you if you wish to remain outside. But the city gates will be locked in around 10 minutes, and we will not be allowing entrance or exit during the night.
I think it might be a good idea for now to enter the city gates.
Yeah, probably. I took a little bit of a hit back there. It's probably just like some internal bleeding going on in the Red Knight. Got reduced to 17 points.
One good hit away from being dropped. Yeah. There's a moment where you see Sehanine kind of her head kind of tilt a little bit, and go, okay, and then she kind of like pulls the cloak up and like pulls the edges together to like close it off, and you see the cloak kind of like shimmer and shake to a slightly different frame, and then opening from the cloak is Bakab. Bakab, you were talking to Corlin, who has been working with some elven paladins over in Ordinia, looking to. Corlin, they were trying to get their artifact, which is not among the artifacts within the city, and you all have made a few contacts there, where they are a religious leadership, in the power structure of especially of the city you went to, but with Corlin's artifact still loose and the best information had it in the Underdark, they've been gathering paladins who have currently lost most of their power, so they're basically relying on being kind of not great fighters. And they were arming themselves ready to go down into the Underdark and try to recover their artifact. In doing so, doing the research, they figured out there is a property of the cloak that allows for swapping of locations, and it looks like you and Sihanin have swapped. Like Corlin had you put on the cloak, and then as you close the cloak, you open it, and you're back in this location, looking at Helm and the Red Knight.
What did I miss?
Giant goose, very mean. It left. House is fine though.
Giant goose?
It was a goose dragon thing. Not nice.
Do I know of anything story like this about a giant goose dragon?
Yeah, I would say give me you can give me an Arcana check. And if you're having trouble with the interface over on Rolled, oh, there we go. Goose Dragon doesn't make sense. Dragons are relatively the opposite of geese, other than the ability to fly. So, with the information they've given you, that doesn't make a ton of sense.
That was a mistake.
I gotcha. So, yeah, this doesn't make sense. Also, a thunder dragon doesn't even make sense. Like, dragons... You've heard of dragons that breathe lightning, but not like thunder. Not like a explosive force damage that would do the damage that you can see looking around at the buildings that have been exploded. So it doesn't make sense on a couple of levels.
Are you sure you're not seeing things?
Pretty sure.
I mean, it could all have been a mass hallucination, and in doing so, we ourselves did the thunder damage to the buildings. No, but that doesn't make sense.
I'm just remembering the guard is still standing there, and the guard's like, "Do you have the ability to do this kind of damage?" He's pointing at the
Not that I know
exploded
of.
at the exploded houses nearby.
Not that I'm aware of.
You see one guard has grabbed a blanket, and it's like the grease fire that was going is finally fully out. One of them runs up, and it's like, there was some small amount of fire, sir, but no evidence of a fireball or similar effect. It looked like it was some grease that caught fire during the explosion. No, we'll go check with the archivist, and just like nods, and the soldier like runs off back to the city. Well, I have some responsibilities to take care of, but it looks like there's about 5 more minutes before we're closing the gates. We're going to be sounding the bell to come within the city here in just a moment. So I'd gather your things if you're coming in. And he gives a nod and starts walking off.
We should
Do we
probably
have
head
things
into the city.
house that we need to get
Eh?
at?
Red Knight, what?
Oh, I was just saying, do we have anything in the house we need to get, or should we just go?
You probably have like some small gear that's like in sacks that you don't carry around all the time. But so you just grab whatever whatever random stuff you have from within the house, and then probably lock it up and start moving along. Bakab, your cat familiar, is there. You had you and the Red Knight in particular had set up a system where you can leave your cat, and then if the cat then like scratches at a post, that's you are looking through the cat, and the Red Knight can then relay any information to you. But now you're here, so that's completely unnecessary.
Do you think if we do that while you're here, it'll create like an echo in your head?
I am intrigued to try that.
We'll try it inside the city.
All right. So, you guys head into the city. They've kind of emergency sourced some tents and things in certain clearings for people to be able to stay, since the outer area and it seems like it's all guards on deck. Everybody's got like longbows or heavy crossbows, as on the edge of the city. Eyes on the sky, kind of ready to fire if something swoops in. Yeah. So, you guys all can take one of the refugee tents, or you could find specific lodgings at taverns and whatnots. Up to you.
It's like 3 in the morning, right?
It's probably like 2 in the morning. Yeah.
I'm just gonna go lay down in one of the tents.
Yeah, the tent's fine.
I'll go with the group then.
Those of you with heavy armor will want to off-robe your heavy armor. I think heavy or medium. I think light is the only thing you can sleep in without getting some exhaustion. So you all rest. There's plenty of guards all around. You can... It's a little rough to get to sleep. So there's a bunch of like sort of panicked people who are also like trying to get to sleep. But Rust eventually finds you. You are all up the next day after a long rest. It's about like 9 or 10 in the morning, and you come out. There's some I was gonna say do-gooders, but it's kind of a weird term. But there's like public goods people who are part of like the city government who are coming around with they've set up basically like a soup line for people while they're kind of displaced from their already temporary housing from outside the city. And it seems like it's mostly been set up to make use of the food that had to be brought in very rapidly from farmers that are trying to get out of danger. And you all have the day. Depends what you want to go do or investigate.
Oh, Bakav, I have some spell scrolls if you want them.
Oh, which spells are there?
I have command and catapult.
Well, I recently learned the spell catapult, so you can keep that yourself. However, I
That's
would
fine.
be
Catapult
glad
is
to take
fine.
command off your hands.
Okay, here you go.
All right.
Thank you.
Command.
Scroll of command, and if you have some gold, which I think there was your share of some gold, 288 gold and 2 silver pieces is also likely handed over to you at the same time. I believe you have the option to put command in your spellbook. Weirdly, I don't think you do. So you have a scroll of command, but command is not a wizard spell. So you do not actually have the option to get it into your spellbook. But it can still be useful as a scroll to use as such.
Does like the DC come from the scroll or from your own spell casting?
It essentially provides you the energy, so it's your casting modifier, unless you don't have one.
It'd be better with him.
Gotcha. All right. So you still got a nice option there. So the Red Knight, you are still sitting on a scroll of catapult.
Yeah, fun with that.
It could be there. Some shenanigans can be done. I've always loved the idea of a jar of alchemist fires. It's literally just like 5 alchemist fires in a jar, and you just launch the jar at people. Always fun. So yeah.
Is there a smithy in town inside the walls?
Oh yeah, all the almost the entirety of the city's operations are within the walls, except for farmland, which is on the outer outskirts around the town for several miles.
Okay. I'm going to see if I can go get myself a set of splint mail.
Nice, yeah. That is actually pretty easy to find, but give me an investigation check to find a smithy that actually has one ready to go. You do manage to find the smith that you were working with has a set of splint mail ready to be resized for someone of your frame, and is ready to go by the end of the day, for PHB prices.
That'll work.
Yep.
I believe that's about 50 gold.
That split mail is 200.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Hold up.
Yep, splint is 200. Chainmail is 75.
I just realized catapult says something weird. So in the description, the object flies in a straight line up to 90 feet. However, in the spell says the range or area is up to 60 feet.
You pick an object within 60 feet, and then it flies up to 90 feet in a straight line. So
Got it. Okay.
theoretically, if you had time to set up or had infinite choices, it could have a range of 150 by like picking something at 60 feet and then flinging it 90 feet. That doesn't always work that way. Sometimes you're firing it up in the air, so something at 100 feet would still be out of range, unless there was, a jar on a roof and you just go. But shenanigans can be had. It's one of my favorite spells because it does have a litany of funny uses that can be done. Most of them jars of bacon grease and other fun materials. But yes, anything you would like to acquire, such as jars of bacon grease.
Did we ever caught those thieves that were using the mouse and bird familiars?
You did not. However, the familiar thieving did stop at a certain point. At least there were no more incidents of small animals rifling through people's areas and things. What that means in particular is not known. So, without any other particular direction going on, you do, or everybody give me a perception check. Wouldn't necessarily notice this. Well, most of you notice. The one person who probably should notice the most didn't. Helm and the Red Knight, you're all getting kind of reconvening after getting a new set of armor, and kind of looking around the sort of the camp area. You see this one elven woman who is sort of on the surface at least fairly friendly and is walking around talking to people, occasionally giving someone a pat on the back, and then that person walking off with one or more soldiers, in a particular direction, and just seems to be walking around interviewing people. She's got a well engraved, seems like very professional longbow across her back with with a quiver of arrows, as well as a rapier and this studded leather armor. Has these jet black eyes, very pale skin, and white hair that's been cut actually pretty short, and it looks like she's even put something in it to make it kind of stand up, to be kind of upward, and in particular any hair kind of around her vision area has been all spiked or slicked back to kind of get out, make sure it stays out of her eyes, it looks like. But she's just going around, and it seems like interviewing people and either just giving them a nod, or you see she gets through about every 10 people or so. She kind of gives them a shake on the hand, a pat on the back, and sends them with a soldier. And soldiers are just sort of nearby, but and waiting for her word on what to do.
Something tells me we might want to avoid her.
Is this a personal, you're against law enforcement, or we might get in trouble?
She seems familiar, yet dangerous.
Does she seem familiar?
Make a history check. The Red Knight, you occasionally get a sense of people being familiar. Damn you, Ice Cube. I thought you were smaller than that. just because you're a goddess of battle tactics and soldiering and warfare and things. So occasionally you do see someone you think of as familiar, and you imagine it's someone who would have prayed to you at one point or another. But you've got no sense of who this is, or even what kind of elf this is. Very, very like, no, I got nothing.
Yeah, we can avoid her, I guess. Do we have any work lined up, or do we just want to go out in the countryside, beat up another Medusa?
There's another Medusa.
There could be.
I would prefer to avoid another Medusa, but we do need work.
Alright, let's go to a tavern to find some work. I've been wanting a new set of armor.
Bacab, make an Arcana check for me. Or excuse me, be history. 19. You, in your time over in Ordinia, it's roughly a week's travel away, you remember they were pulling a lot of their artifacts out of storage in order to hand them out among leadership that had recently lost a lot of power, and so it was kind of a way to reestablish their ability to run the areas they need to run. So in lieu of their divine powers that they were relying on, they're gonna now rely on these artifacts they had in storage. And you in particular remember, as you kind of look at the Red Knight now and you're thinking back at it, you remember a soldier who came out of that storage wearing a set of full plate armor studded in rubies, with an emblem across the chest of the visage of the Red Knight herself. And so when she mentions finding some armor, you kind of click it together and be like, that's her artifact armor that you saw 2 days ago, getting equipped onto a captain who was going out. You would, with the 19, you remember they were heading out to some border areas to maintain order. So you are aware. You just saw a couple days ago her artifact.
What was your human name, Red Knight?
Amara.
Amara. I think I
yes.
saw your artifact while I was away. I may know where it is.
Well, I guess it looks like we do have some direction after all.
I don't remember specifically where, at the where border they're going, right? Which border they're going to?
Give me a perception check and see how much of that conversation you would have overheard. Not a lot. You caught that they were going to a border, or borderlands to maintain order. Which border is hard to say. You remember crossing a border about 3 days into your journey where there was a checkpoint, and you all just rode out there on horseback, or no, the 3 days was walking pace. You guys were just walking out, but you had a cart for supplies and stuff, and came across a border along the road where it did seem like they were struggling to maintain order. So you kind of think maybe it's that border, but it's really, you didn't really catch the specifics.
I'm not sure which border they're heading to. However, I may have an idea. Not too sure. If we
If
go in
Well-
bed
it,
with
if it comes across your mind at some point, make sure to let us know. But in the
Of course.
meantime, we should get a little bit more money. Because that's how the mortals do. I say we go to a tavern, find a job.
I'm fine with that plan.
Cool.
This seems like the best option. For now, while I'm walking around the city, I'm gonna dispel my hammer for now,
Sure.
so as to not hit anyone on accident, because it is a big hammer.
Yeah. Make a charisma saving throw for me.
Yay! Hey, I've got proficiency.
Hey. You have some complaints from the shadow within your shield. Be like, we should always be ready to bring that hammer down on things that as it's like as you've like desummoned it, and it's just like, oh, you never let us do anything fun. But it has no influence over you. You're its master. It doesn't really matter what it says. Let's have everybody make a perception check.
Hey,
Nice. Okay. Helm, you notice a small group of soldiers kind of keeping their distance. They're about a block back from you guys, and it's like just 3 or 4 of them that are just sort of walking generally towards you all. They're 4 soldiers that you remember seeing. Just they were walking around the encampment back there. They don't seem like aggressive about it, but they're not being. They are clearly following you all. But you all get like a little surprised when a voice in the alley just ahead of you, as you all walk up to it, is like leaning up against a wall, and it's just like, "Could we have a chat, please?" And it's the elven woman you all were kind of avoiding from before.
look, I'm sorry to say this, but me and my group are terribly busy. I hope you understand.
Oh, okay. Make a deception check for me. She's like, "Oh, lying to an official is not the best way to start this. Oh, please, why don't I just join you and we'll have a chat at the wherever you're heading. I assume the inn, looking for some sort of mercenary work, something far beneath you all."
Do we know you
Sure.
by any chance?
I doubt it.
Do we believe her?
Yeah, make an insight check on this lady. Bow's just sort of like, yeah, let's just go eat. Um, Red Knight, you get a sense that this lady definitely has some sort of ulterior motive. She doesn't want to just go hang out. Helm, you get the sense that she's aware that you all are powerful. You don't think she's aware that you all are fallen gods, but you can tell that she can tell that you all are powerful. And thinking back, it seemed like she was picking out capable people from the crowd for some sort of reason. So it's more likely than not she's just kind of looking for recruits to get something done, which is kind of what you guys are doing anyways. But she's also just like, I don't know, there's something about her that makes you think like, okay, she might just be like a pencil pusher or someone higher ranked, but there's something else going on that you can't put your finger on. But again, can't quite put your finger on it. But she doesn't appear to be like I'm going. She's not like I'm going to murder you if you don't come with me. But she's also not. She's not saying things like it's like she's not saying things like she's asking. She's saying things like this is what's going to be happening. As she just sort of is looking at all of you like, oh, you are of a type that seem to go to taverns and get chances for coin. I'm merely offering to come with you to the tavern and give you an option to gain some coin.
Only if you're paying for food.
That is a deal, my dear.
Okay. I'll just start heading towards the tavern.
There's you do see
I'm hungry.
You do see that there's the guards kind of catch up, and there's a few like people that come out of an alley and up to the guards, and it's like, please sir, we need assistance. We had to abandon our farms and our well-being, and it's like, peasants, we're busy. Go, there's a soup line at the refugee area. Go. They're like, but ma'am, we just need to, and she just like flicks her fingers, and you see both of the squalor people just like fall over. Just and you looking down, they're just asleep. But she just sort of like snapped her finger at them, and they just fell asleep. And she's just like, "All right, when they wake up, give them an extra voucher or something. I don't know." And just like she starts leading the way over to the tavern, and one of the soldiers is kind of looking around like, it's not procedure. And they just sort of like, I'm just gonna drop a silver in the pockets. Like leaves a silver, and then they all start backing you all up. But she takes you over to a tavern. Relatively crowded. It seems like more people than usual are in the city, and logically more people than usual are in the tavern grabbing food and supplies. She just walks up to the front counter, and whispers something to the guy behind the counter, who just nods. Walks over to a table of people that are almost done with their food, and just starts picking up their things, and they're like, what? And he's like, you gotta go. And he just like clears the table, and they kind of like frustratingly get up and leave, and she sits down and offers chairs to everyone. Please come sit.
I'll go ahead and sit down.
I don't trust
I'm
her.
gonna-
She acts like she owns the place.
I'm going to accept her offer, but I am going to watch her carefully.
Sure.
Because I am suspicious.
Yep. She asks like points over at the Red Knight, goes, wine or ale?
Ooh, I didn't know it was kind of gonna be a wine kind of day.
It's midday somewhere.
I'll take a wine.
Very good. She lets out this loud whistle, which it's sharp enough that the whole tavern like goes silent for half a second, and in that pause of lack of revelry or any kind of noise, she goes, 4 wines, and everybody kind of looks kind of confused, and then the barkeep from behind the counter is like, 4 wines, and then everybody kind of gets back to what they were doing. There's 4 glasses of wine brought to the table. She takes one for herself. So, some of you look nervous. I don't know why. I am looking for some recruits. As you may know, a horrible monster attacked our fine city, and we are in need of an opportunity to eliminate it and eliminate further insurgents of these shadow creatures. There seems to be a portal that is open to the north. We have not yet had a chance to find those responsible for such a terrible act and bring them to justice, but in the meantime, the portal needs to be closed. So I am in need of capable recruits to watch our flanks as we head up and seal the portal. It's quite simple, really. Essentially, you're doing mercenary work.
Do you know? So you have a method of sealing the portal?
Of course. Letting it breathe, very good.
How effective is it?
quite effective.
Has it been tested?
Well, see, I've answered several questions. What kind of capabilities could you bring to this endeavor? I am looking for some people. Just looking at the three of you, she's just like, you look like you can do some things.
I'm gonna summon my hammer to my. I'm just gonna kind of reach out and grab my hammer from its pocket dimension essentially,
Mm-hmm.
and just set it down afterward.
It's cute. So she seems to be. You're kind of used to interactions, people being a little standoffish, giving Helm some breathing space, and she gives a sum total of 0 fucks. Does not. She's maybe 5'2". She's not a tall elven woman at all, and not a thick frame. It's not like when you see a halfling barbarian, you're like, oh, that's small, but can take out a company of soldiers. She's just kind of got a confidence about her where she's just like, I mean, it's a little like the last time I went to a bar when I was right in the middle of MMA training, and there was some guy getting a little aggro and drunk, and I was just sort of like, yeah, if you want to start something, it's fine. That's kind of the attitude you've got from her. It's just like, just not impressed by anything that they're doing, and it's sort of like, I mean, yeah, if you want to do something, it's fine. So that's kind of the vibe you're getting off of her. Are you interested in coin? You seem like the types to destroy monsters and get coin.
How much are you offering?
Well, we haven't worked out the rates exactly. However, the key to getting this entire city back to business, where you all could make coin, is involved in us ending this insurgence of shadow creatures. Not sure what coin you're planning to make. Well, no one is hiring anyone for anything because you can't really exit the city safely.
So you'd say it's an investment.
Sure.
Where exactly is this portal located?
Northward in the mountain area, appears to be in what used to be a Medusa's lair. Some sort of ongoing portal into Plane of Shadow.
I think this might be a good idea.
Yeah, we can't very well have business be shut down in the city just for some shadows coming around.
Indeed. Indeed. Now, there is a secondary thing, which I am willing to pay some gold for, which is information. I've received word that some very capable individuals may actually be... She kind of looks around and leans in as to not clue in anyone else beyond the table. I've heard there's tale of gods among us.
You don't say.
I lean in is like, how would that be possible?
A number of ways. Many things are capable through magic. Not that I have much inkling into that kind of world, but yes.
Because if their avatars are on this plane.
No literal gods, apparently.
I may not know much about religion, however, I thought gods were always amongst us, hence why clerics could use their powers and such.
Oh, clerics no longer can use their powers. That's part of the issue. So, everybody give me a deception check. And then
Chrono Shift. No.
Helm and Bakab, give me an insight check.
Omara, Chrono Shift. Get rid of that natural one.
Oh,
dude.
Chrono Shift.
Get rid of it.
Bakab does get a read on this. Bakab actually But Cobb, eyes go wide as you look over and see a look of recognition in the lady's face looking over at the Red Knight. And so the whole thing pauses and goes kind of and rewind all of time back, giving the Red Knight another shot and just utterly screws it up again. The Red Knight, completely unable, Helm and Bakab are fully aware of how much the Red Knight is not keeping her cool. Leg starts shaking, eyes start kind of darting around. Red Knight instinctually getting the position of the guards, to know if a fight were to break out, where everybody is. And I would say let's have the Red Knight doing an insight check as well. The only one not aware that the Red Knight is utterly blowing your guys' cover is the Red Knight. I imagine some phrases like, "Oh yeah, that'd be super weird." Who would have ever thought of a thing like that? Yes. She kind of leans back in her chair, looking at the Red Knight, and then giving kind of a second look to the other two of you, and it's just like, well, I think the three of you would make excellent additions to our little excursion. What do we say, 1,000 gold apiece?
I thought you
think
said
that sounds
price was
agreeable.
negotiable.
Absolutely negotiable. How much did you think was appropriate?
How much do we think is appropriate?
There's like a little side huddle. Was it 1,000 each or 1,000 in total?
You have a hard bargain. 1,000 each would be fine with me.
I think that the number is more than appropriate. I have heard there's a griffin in the area.
Oh no, I killed that this morning.
Oh.
I needed a snack. So,
Insight check. Is that a lie?
yeah,
Is this just...
make an insight check. You look at her. There's not much. She seems capable. It's not outside the realm of possibility for an individual to go just shoot a griffin out of the sky. You have no reason to disbelieve her. And then you kind of look down at her quiver and see a few of the arrows look a little different from the others, where they just have different fletching. It looks like there is some. You all got a pretty close look at that griffin. You notice the feather pattern on a few of those arrows as griffin feathers that have been, fletched onto arrows. So
Griffin meat super gamey.
It's like apex predator though. It's like shark is one of the best fishes you can eat. But don't eat sharks though. That's just what are you doing? Yes. Yeah. So. It's very good. It sounds like we have an accord. 1,000 gold each. You all can meet us at the western gate. I will leave one of my. I'll leave Rin here to keep get you anything you need, arrows, alchemist fire, anything else you need for our excursion. Rin! And you see one of the younger guards runs up. Yes, ma'am. And he even goes and takes a knee near the table. He goes, too formal, Rin, too formal. You'll be accompanying these three today and getting them anything they need for our little excursion to remove this curse of shadow upon the city. Yes, ma'am. And my apologies for getting overly doing more than. And she's like, just shut up. It's fine. And she gives him a pat on the head, even though he's probably 6'5" and she's 5'2", but he's kneeling next to her, so she still has to reach up a little bit. She's like, well, I will see you all in the field this evening, and gives a nod, and starts to leave.
Oh, before you go,
Yes.
are these materials provided for free, or will they be deducted from our rewards?
Deducted from your rewards. But he's a fairly capable fellow. He'll be able to get you anything you need. And I'm gonna say, let's take a break for like 10 minutes, and you guys think of anything you might want grabbed mundane materials wise, and we will be back in a moment. Alright, see y'all in 10. All
I
right.
use catapult in combination with grease to get out of an ambush.
Always fun. I love catapult. Catapult is a fun, creative spell. It doesn't get enough attention. I just wanna spend like, what, like 300 gold on like a big jar of like alchemist fire and like do fireball damage with the first level spell slot.
It can only affect up to 5 pounds of foot weight.
Yep. All right. So, what requests would you all like to make of this Rin fellow who is just sort of awkwardly standing there? Eventually, like grabs a roll and it's just like.
Rin, are you forced to stay with us and monitor each and every one of us?
It's physically impossible, so I'm here for your disposal for any kind of equipment or gear you are requiring for tonight's hunt.
We're leaving tonight.
Yes, probably right at sundown.
Alright.
Did you all have something in mind?
I was thinking of visiting a local shop.
You will not require my assistance for that, sir.
Well, then I guess I'll be off.
Kind of just nods at you. The rest of you, would you like anything in particular?
Not that I can think of.
Yes, I request that you finish the rest of this food.
Okay.
Yeah, just sit right there and just finish every single crumb of food here.
Sir, I'm at your disposal for resources you need. I'm not your slave.
Are you saying you don't want to eat?
I'm fine. He's got a roll and he's just snacking on it.
Can I just pop him? Can I just pop Marty?
the person in real life who's probably across the country from you, probably not.
Well, in game.
Oh, in game.
Just gonna.
Just a little whack on the noggin. As you do so, there's you hear a chair pull out suddenly, like slide across the floor and fall over, as a fairly like barrel-chested fellow with like a cloak kind of over one shoulder stands up and is like, "You, sir!" And it's like looking you in the face.
Yeah.
Striking a lady in the presence of noblemen.
Striking my friend for a stupid comment.
Well, you watch yourself, sir. My lady. And he kind of comes over and makes a large bow. It's like, "Are you all right? Do you need your honor defended?"
I'm just gonna be like, "Oh yes, sir, I do."
You see him like, he doesn't like slap you with a glove. He just takes a glove like out of his pocket and throws it at you, and he just sort of like hits you in the chest. Just, like,
I guess her honor's defended.
No, that means you have to duel him.
I prefer not to kill nobles.
Ha! First blood it is, then. We'll see you outside in 10 minutes. He goes back to his table. There seems to be a chat about in these partially armored, like, semi-noble looking humans, which is kind of weird. You guys are all in the, like, elven kingdom. You're wondering what the hell are these human nobles even doing here? Do you guys do anything for the 10 minutes? Rin in particular is looking at all this like, so again, arrows, or grappling hooks, or climbing gear, anything you need.
Bandages for him.
I'll get a medicine kit. goes and he pulls out like a small notebook and takes a dagger and just like shaves off a little bit of wood off this like pencil, and jots down an item and an amount, and then exits the tavern. So if you all
Does
just
he leave?
the soldier, yeah, he leaves.
Alright, I'm gonna look over to Helm and be like, I know this isn't the best time for a fight, but also I got bored and I want to see you kick someone's ass.
So these human nobles all kind of get up and head outside. Once you all are done with your meal, you can see them out there. There's sort of like a refugee area that's been made in the park that's outside the tavern. But they've had everyone like clear their tents out for a good like 20-foot radius. And the nobleman is standing there with his like broadsword, and you kind of like tip in the grass, like ready to go.
I brought out another bottle of wine, and I'm gonna like share it with Cobb while this is going on.
He's like, the bartender's like, another bottle. Did you clear that with the official you were talking to?
Oh, of course. Totally did that.
Fine with me. He grabs another bottle. It seems like mark a tab of some kind and hands it over to you. All right, so you all.
Who do you think is gonna win?
I'm hoping Helm.
There,
But, like, should we start taking bets around with people?
you do see like there's one nobleman in particular. He seems to be taking as Helm comes up. He seems to be taking some bets. Do you walk up to the guy who's like clearly like taking bets?
Alright, I want 10 gold on the tall fellow.
Very well. So you've got 10 on Helm. Kind of looks over to Macabre. Anything for you, sir?
I'm just a bystander at this moment.
Fair enough. The noble in the center is like, he's already been getting ready, but he just sort of like loosens up his shoulders and like picks up his sword. He's ready to go. Another noble comes forward and it's like, honorable duel has been challenged. First blood has been requested by the challengee. Challenger accepts. What will you be using for this combat, sir? And he's just like, the sword of my father and his father to defend the ladies of the land. And there's like, you see other women in the area, and they all just sort of like roll their eyes. And it's just like, they just sort of like, there is no like, oh, what a gentleman. It's like, dude, like, we can pick up an axe. Like, what are you doing? And he turns
You know,
over.
the Red Knight in full, like, heavy armor with, like, a couple of two-handed weapons
Right.
strapped to her back.
She's just like, how could I have possibly defended myself? And as Helm approaches, it's just like, and you, sir, what will be your instrument of defending your honor?
I'm just gonna grab my hammer.
Right, just ready to go. It's like, all right, into positions. First blood. Ready, begin! And go ahead and roll initiative.
Yay.
Do you wonder what they mean by first blood? I'm not used to these noble customs.
Make a history check. Oh man, he just I thought his 5 wasn't gonna work out well for him. With a 15, it's first blood is a term that is relatively loose, but it's usually the first strike to land, with sort of an option of whether to fight defensively or offensively. So with Helm losing the initiative, he is going to be taking a swing at you, and the question is, if you wish to focus on your defense, you can take disadvantage on your attacks to get to give him disadvantage on his attack, if you like.
I'm actually going to fight defensively.
Gotcha. Imposing disadvantage while giving yourself disadvantage. And he can choose to fight defensively as well, or can go offensively to cancel that out. He is also fighting defensively, so a straight defense would be... that is a 16 to hit.
No.
It just glances off of that fancy splint mail and shield that you've got. It then comes back to you for your opportunity to try to strike a blow. Comes in a little wide, you just deflect it off with the shield. Leaves sort of an opening for you.
I'm actually going to use this moment instead to use grease.
Nice.
Just out of range of me. So that
Gotcha.
way he falls.
Just in front of you. Now, you have your hammer and shield out.
Warcaster.
You've taken work. Wait, when did you have Warcaster?
Level up,
You'd be
I
able
took
to
Warcaster
definitely
instead of a
focus.
skill improvement.
Didn't you multiclass?
You said I could
Yeah,
take
you have
it.
to get to like 4th level in one class.
Yeah, it's the ability scores are part of your class progression. But you
The
did.
hammer's my focus, though.
The hammer is your focus. You have that ruby that you paid for that you have linked
Yeah.
to it and attuned to it, which will be obsolete eventually when you get high enough on Hexblade. Yeah, but you do have that option. So yes, casting grease. That's a saving throw of some kind.
Let me double check that.
Dexterity save with her, I believe.
Dex
Yeah.
save. Okay, that is a 16 on the dex save.
Darn.
So he maintains his footing. You guys are on grass, so there's a puddle of grease behind him. He just sort of plants his. You notice now he has heels, and so he just sort of plants the heel into the dirt. Managed to maintain his footing. So I believe that was your action.
Yeah.
So he had some wasted defensive fighting, which is fine. He's gonna go for a straight attack. Ooh. It's a 15.
Nope.
There's some slipping and skidding and sliding, and that gets deflected. And it comes back to you, and you can decide again attacking offensively or defensively.
I'm going to go offensive.
Great. All right. Go for a. You can actually go for a roll with advantage.
Cool.
Nice. Go ahead and roll damage. With the 5 bludgeoning, you manage to just kind of, since he has to plant his feet, you just sort of use your shield side to just push him and twist him basically, and then just sort of whack right in the back of the head with the hammer, which cracks, and people are like, oh, and there's a noticeable splattering of blood as you broke the skin slightly on his head, and it kind of like, gah, and the sort of judge of the duel is just like, first blood achieved, and there's just sort of like a oh, and there's like a mild clap from the crowd that is gathered. He then just like go and like tries to walk away, falling on his face in the grease. There's a whoop. But yeah, you are triumphant in that. The bet taker comes around and hands 10 with an extra 8 to the Red Knight. You spent 10 to get 18 gold back, and they seem to be like paying out to various people in the crowd. What are you guys going to do next with your time?
I'm going to help him up to kind of show no hard feelings.
Gotcha. Make a persuasion check.
Nope.
Left one, yeah. He seems resistant at first, but he also couldn't catch his feet at all. So it's literally the only reason he's standing is you've like grabbed him by the back of the armor and like pulled him up and placed him, and he's just sort of like, fair duel, and like it does a nod and like kind of like carefully, like somebody who's never worn heels before wearing heels on ice, just like and gets himself out of the area. There's a common person on the edge of the grease with a stick, just sort of like rubbing the grease off with onto the stick. I'm looking at it and like kind of poking at it, seeing what's up with that. All right.
I didn't get to finish this bottle of wine. The fight took 6 seconds. Sorry, 12 seconds.
Right. He's like kind of trying to aerate in the bottle and just like, Now you see Rin coming back already. He's only been gone a couple of minutes, but he's coming back, and under his arm is a tightly bound like a series of like pouches that have been put all on a strap. Brings it up and hands it over to Helm, and it's just like, one medicine kit, sir.
Thank you.
Walks over to the rest of you. It's just like, well, if you'd like, we can move along to get into a staging area. You can meet up with everyone else who's been gathered for this endeavor.
Bob, did you still want to go to Ida?
Yes, I would like to visit Ira before we meet everyone.
There's a nod. I was like, oh, I will accompany you in case you need anything. So you all head over towards Ira. And Ira, this tiefling matron, you all enter, and there's the ding 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 of the bell as you enter in. She looks a little, she's got a little bit of sweat on her brow, and is just sort of like, takes a deep breath as you all walk in, like, oh, hello! What can I do for all of you?
Hello. Do you happen to have any spell scrolls?
I have a few, dear. Let's see. Now, are you looking for spell scrolls for immediate use, or are you looking to expand your spell book?
I wish to expand my spell books.
Well, these are completely different things, dear. So, I have a few options for you. Let me see here. I just acquired one from an abjurer who was retiring his backup spell book. So, let's see. And she kind of pulls up the spell book, and there's a little like thunk as it hits the table with a bunch of like loose papers and things that have all been added to it. She's like, I can sell you this for, and she kind of like flips through it and goes, say 100 gold pieces. There's some room left in the edges, and some of these are not the most spectacular spells I've ever seen, but a lot of utility in here.
The entire book?
Yes. You'll have to make your own notations and expansions and redo it in your own abbreviation per, wizardy things.
Gladly take that.
Very good. 100 gold pieces. You flip through this abjurer's spellbook. So it is bound in leather, and there appears to be there's a lock on it, but the lock is not a key lock. It is just two pieces of metal that stick together, and they are just like magically stuck together. She's like, oh, you just do a cantrip of some kind on it, and it'll unlock for you.
Precipitation on it.
Nice. You just do like a little shower a little bit of sparks on it, and it just like unclicks and opens up for you. So it looks like it locks with magic and unlocks with magic, but any amount of magic will just open it up. The spells you find in it are Absorb Elements, Alarm, Charm Person, Earth Tremor, Expeditious Retreat, Shield, and Tensor's Floating Disc at the first level, and then also Arcane Lock and Detect Thoughts on second level spells.
Give me a bit. I need to write that down.
I can send you the list, yeah.
That would be great.
So, and make an insight check for me. Ooh. 8. Yeah, you just got a really good deal, and she must, like you or something. I don't know. Who knows? Yep. So, she kind of goes and she kind of checks herself and in the mirror that she has off to the side of the thing, and realizes that she's got some sweat on her brow, and she kind of just dabs it off and fixes her hair. And it's just like, oh, busy day. So, anything else the rest of you need?
No, I'm good.
I have everything that I want. I'm not sure if helm.
Yep.
Not that I can think of.
Now, a clarification on when you find a spell book. You are not actually able to prepare any of the spells in it without using the paper and ink that is needed for you to add a spell to your spell book. Essentially, it's sort of like getting a weird jotted down notes from a physics major, and you can kind of, if you study it, figure out their handwriting, but it's best for you to rewrite it in your own notes. And that's kind of the process that's involved there. But you have the opportunity to move those spells over when you get a chance. Yeah. You just kind of close up the book after kind of evaluating the spells, and shutting the book. The two metal latches kind of click together and link and hold tight. Looks like this thing is meant to be only opened by those that can do magic. And anything else you all wanted to get while you were at Iroh's?
No,
She
I'm good.
looks up and is like, all right, I gotta get back to work, so to speak. She kind of pulls over this there's a bust, with with a necklace that she's working on, and she's currently setting some teeth and molding the metal into place and doing some enchantments on it, on each bead of the necklace, which is made of these teeth. So what are you all doing? Are you gonna wait till it's time to chase down shadows?
I think that might be a good idea.
They said they had a meeting place, right, where we can meet everyone beforehand.
The Rin right behind you is just yes, I can show you that when it's time to go.
All right. I would love that.
Very good. All right. So he shows you all, takes you westward in the city, sort of the northwestish area. Walking up there, you can see the city's getting kind of packed with refugees at this point, and you can see people who have large gashes across their sides and shoulders. People being kind of attended to, getting the worst injured getting bandaged up and set aside. But it seems like the majority of soldiers are kind of dealing with that scenario. You get to that northwest gate of the city. There's plenty of soldiers who are manning the sides, being ready to go for any kind of aerial assault. Off in the distance, you do see a series of torches that are set up. The Rin leads you all out there. As things approach nighttime, the torches are easier to see. You see that same pale elven woman who is like chatting with soldiers and it seems like other recruits to the areas. And he kind of gives a nod. All right. Well, I believe you're the last of the people that are assisting us, so it's time for tactical briefings. She pulls everybody into a small circle. It's like there's about 20 individuals in this group. She starts handing out these little like wood tokens, and they either have looks like they have an X or a circle on them, and she hands out. And she's like, "You have an X. You're on our perimeter. You are meant to. You'll be on your own as far as how spread out we are, and you're mostly looking for threats. To attack with your magic or a special ability that you have, which is the whole reason I've brought you in here and paid you so much coin. And as you assault, make sure to retreat back to the core group. If you have a circle, you will be in the core group." She comes over, and Helm, you are handed a circle. The Red Knight is also handed a circle, and Bakab is also handed a circle. So you've all been assigned to the inner circle area. The Rin gets handed a token, looks at it, nods, and goes, and he just seems like he gets his like short bow off his back and gets a couple of arrows ready in his hand and starts walking out towards the perimeter. You assume he must have gotten an X. And there's a sort of a shy like halfling fellow that comes over to where like the inner circle is, and it's just like, "Hello, how are you? I assume you're all amazing at things, just like I am."
Who might you be?
Oh, that's, so excuse me. They call me Carl. I'm an amazing individual. I am incredibly adept at many things. Don't be fooled by my lack of weaponry about me. I can whisper someone to death.
Hmm.
Do I
Bard.
believe him?
Who? What?
I said, do I believe him?
Oh yeah, make an insight check. No reason not to. Like, whispering someone to death just sounds like magic stuff. Now it's
Interesting.
this fine lady has given us many glittery pieces of treasure to move about our day. Now, if you're looking for some, we'll say, extra protections, I have some abilities to gain you a little advantage in the things to come, but my services are not cheap. I am not one to give away something I could use for profit.
Yeah.
Kind of looks expectantly at all of you. Well, fine. I mean, we'll all just kind of watch out for each other as normally expected and have a fine day.
May I see your token?
Indeed. Kind of flips it up and he's got a circle on it.
How much would it be for your services?
Well, I mean, we're all getting a hefty sum. With 100 gold, I could ensure your strikes land easier and your abilities function fully. I can only do it for one of you, so it's a bit of a bidding war. Prices start at 100.
I'm good. I don't need that.
Oh, alright then.
I'm good.
I may call upon you during the battle. should it be
May call
required.
upon. These services must be paid in front. How am I to know I'm receiving gold when gold is not received? That doesn't make any sense. Always get paid up front, sir. Or you might find yourself reading a book of infinite spells and then banished to the worlds of men. Moving on! Kind of like, he starts marching. Starts marching forward. Bakab, give me a history check. Or a religion check, whichever one you feel like. Thinking about this might be Carl Glittergold This might be the god of like halflings. Bit of a trickster god, kind of a one you would expect to play a bunch of tricks, like kind of semi banished like the god of kobolds into an infinite maze by just to like really just to screw with him. And so you've got this halfling, this cocky halfling who's just like, well, I'm a god. What are you gonna do about it? And is just like marching along. You see the pale elven woman come forward and be like, well, I'll be leading this expedition from the rear, obviously, and I'll need you all to keep the center, and people will be falling back to you if they encounter anything in particular. Try not to let anyone be mauled to death by horrible shadow creatures. Any questions? What'd you say to the halfling? Why is he walking away?
Oh, he was just offering some services, some magic. Should we need it?
That's between you all. I just wish for
Uh,
all of their fine
can I have-
citizens to make it out alive.
Can I have a list of those in those inner circles? I sort of want to find out who I'll be working with.
Guy just points to the you three plus the Carl guy, and he's like, "It's pretty much you all. Everyone else who's of use is at the boundaries to lure in the creatures for you all to destroy." Beware of him, though. He's a bit of a shit talker.
And where will you be positioned?
I'll be in the rear. That is where my abilities come in most handy. And if I play my cards right, you won't have to do much.
Good to know.
And the you see another soldier running up with a quiver of arrows, and she nods, goes, "You were almost late, and that would have had dire consequences." And he's just like, "Yes, ma'am, won't happen again." Hands her the quiver, which she like straps next to her other quiver of arrows, so that she's got dual quivers on the side. Well, she like grabs like a handful of arrows, kind of in between the knuckles, like the like people do incorrectly with their ring of keys for self-defense. And she's got like the in between the knuckles arrows. Yeah. PSA: Don't do the that doesn't work. That's not a thing. One key, hammer, fist, or stab. That's what you want to do. Don't be trying to. You're not Wolverine. Get your keys out of your fingers. All right. So you all start marching northward towards the mountain as the kind of darkness takes over the night sky. Soldiers from the perimeter keep kind of circling back and checking in with her, and she's staying about 150 feet behind you guys. She chats with them for a bit, and then they kind of move along. Let's have you guys make a perception check as you're heading into the night.
Would it be with disadvantage if you don't have dark vision? Or...
No, it's not that late yet, so there's still a little bit of light in the sky. So just normal perception check. Didn't matter, I guess. Red Knight can make an insight check. You notice there's only about 4 other individuals that are not soldiers. And 3 of them seem like high elves that just live within the city. You're not sure what their usefulness is, but the 3 in particular don't have a bow. They have like a short sword or a dagger, like a very basic kind of weapon, but not any real armor to speak of. So you're not 100% sure why they're being brought out on this kind of an excursion. And there's only like 2 or 3 that don't seem like citizens or soldiers. And you all are marching northward. There's a moment where Carl kind of turns back to all of you and is just like, I'm a little confused here. So, it kind of looks at all of you and is just like, so I think we all are on the same page, so to speak.
Do I remember what the symbol of glitter gold is?
I would say sure, yeah. With your check familiar, you remember the symbol.
Can I cast prestidigitation on my hand, his symbol, and sort of cover it with my cloak to show it to him?
Just kind of cloak forward and just on your palm, and he kind of gives you a nod, and it's just like, so
I'm not that good.
so here's my problem. And you guys are a good like hour out into these farmlands, and you can see that a lot of them have like fences that have been torn out. You occasionally see some like horses or livestock that have found a spot where they have not been attacked yet. And you all are kind of heading north-ish, and he's just like looking around. He's just like, "Where are all these shadow creatures coming from? Just a sudden portal opens in the mountains. It seems weird."
That we know what caused it.
Oh, gossip! I love gossip. What do we have? Please tell me there was like I don't know, like a let's say a kobold wizard was like, I want powers of shadow, and then he was just immediately destroyed by some shadow beasts. Please tell me something like that happened. Something where someone got in too deep for their britches and got their comeuppance immediately. I love those kind of stories.
Is it? I'm gonna look around. Does it look like anyone near us to listen in?
Nope, there's nobody really nearby. He starts to go off on a weird tangent. He's like, I once heard of a condition called lactose intolerance, and there was a man who had it, and he was just chugging milk, like straight whole milk from a cow, not watered down like some people do, straight whole cream, just chugging it. And in between the chugs, he was yelling racial slurs at the other halflings, and I was just like, this guy's gonna poop his pants. And people were like, you can't wish for someone to poop their pants, and I'm like, this is just irony, is what this is. I'm not a bad person for finding it funny. And then he did. He pooped his pants extremely violently. And it was funny. Wait, what are we talking about?
Good question. I don't remember.
I don't either. Let's keep looking forward.
Do any of you trust these people?
Not as far as I can throw them.
I'd hope you trust them. We followed them out into the darkness of the woods for the last hour or two.
Well, considering the fact we're the only like people in the inner circle right now, right?
Right.
Considering that only the four of us who coincidentally happen to be,
Different.
He kind of like pauses for a second and like looks around and is just like, so we are the only ones in this excursion, and we are being left alone in the center of a bunch of other people.
catching our drifts.
There's a you all watch as an arrow literally whistles and goes across and probably goes a good 500 feet. Yes. And as it does, around the four of you is this as all these globules of light, about 8 different globules of light, all around you, lighting up your area of where you are, as you all have kind of paused in this kind of spot between properties. So everybody make a perception check. Yeah, perception check. Nice. So not awesome. Oh, and Carl. Ooh, Carl did really well. Everybody's gonna need to roll initiative. Carl and Bakab are not surprised. Helm and the Red Knight are. And so, oh wow, they did terribly. All right, so first up, there's Carl, who kind of gets his eyes kind of go wide and go, I think we should duck. And he goes and casts. He casts a. He goes and he just goes, good luck, and touches himself, and he just goes boop and pops out of existence, and he just like disappears right there. And there's a little voice of like, nobody ever paid me, and he just like runs away. You hear the like kind of going towards the farmhouse. Let's see. Helm, you are surprised, but that surprise ends at the end of your turn. There's Bakab. You actually go before anyone else does. So, what are you going to do in this scenario? You can see back behind you about 100 feet. There is the female elf who is leading this expedition. She's pulling up her bow and is like currently taking aim at you all.
She's 500 feet back, right?
100 feet is what I said before.
100 feet, okay.
She fired an arrow that went about 500 feet. But she's currently about 100 feet back.
Is there anyone in front of me? Like 10 feet in front of me?
No, and you had a good enough perception. You kind of caught eyes on everybody because they were holding torches for a while, which they have very recently just dropped. It looks like there's roughly 9 or so people that are actively hostile that are all raising hands with like bits of fire starting to pop up out of their palm, or they are taking aim with crossbows or longbows. You pinpoint there are 3 or so people that just look kind of confused that are out on the perimeter, kind of away from where you are. But you guys are semi-surrounded by apparently hostiles, with this lady in particular orchestrating the situation.
Okay, I will move 10 feet closer to the woman, the elf.
Yep.
And then I will cast Snowball Swarm.
Nice. I have no idea what that does.
It has a range of 90 feet.
Gotcha. Pull forward a little snowball swarm.
It has a 5-foot radius.
I have never heard of that spell. What kind of save is it, or?
It's a dexterity saving throw.
Dex save. That is a failure. What is the effect of snowball swarm?
3d6 cold damage.
Nice. Go for it. $12 cold damage. Nice. You can see from this distance there is the boom, 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 and it's these this like tornado of hail just appears right on her, and she takes the full damage. Anything else you would like to do?
I think that's. I will move back 10 with the group 10 feet.
Gotcha. Does that snowball swarm stay, or is that like an instantaneous effect?
It's an instantaneous effect.
Gotcha. All right. So you all are kind of huddled in the road that goes between farmhouses and whatnot. There's coming around to all of them. There are people that are rushing towards you from this outer perimeter. At Helm, there's a firebolt. Ooh, at a 21 to hit.
Yep.
For 3 fire damage. There's then an arrow at a 16 to hit, and another arrow at a 20 to hit.
One of those 2 arrows does not hit.
Gotcha. That is 10 damage off the arrow. On the Red Knight. Oh geez, that is a natural 20 on the firebolt. That is 20 fire damage from that firebolt.
I did resistance to fire.
Yeah, halved to 10, which is good. 21 to hit on one arrow, and then a miss on the other for another 6 piercing damage. You kind of look over, and then because you're still kind of surprised, and a firebolt just like right in the face, which you're not used to fire hurting you really, but that was a heck of a hit. And then at Bacab, who is not surprised, that's a whiff, and a 22 to hit on an arrow for 4 piercing damage, and the miss. So there's this barrage of a mix of fire and arrow coming in from the outer perimeter. The lady herself steps up, and you see her like with this handful of arrows kind of trained on all of you, and then she just like turns and starts like letting loose this barrage of arrows. You see her kind of like breathe, and she exhales for several shots. That is a that lands and lands. Okay.
Carl's dead.
Huh? You see 4.
Carl's dead.
What's that? I keep not catching what you're saying.
Carl's dead.
Carl. Coral. You see a quad, 4 arrows with pinpoint accuracy land for is a math. Why do you do this to me, math? That's 17, 14, 18, and 19 damage. Yeah. You guys look over and see a formerly invisible Carl just 4 arrows just land right into his invisible form, and they're not as precise as strikes as they could have been due to his invisibility, but he still got hit 4 times, and you just see this little body just and just skid into the grass, right into a bale of hay, and it's just like disappears under that pile of dry grass. Carl looks like he's not gonna be helping anymore. Red Knight, you are no longer surprised, and then we're coming around to Helm.
Yay.
Yeah. You guys are in range of things like various farmhouses and barns that you could try to run into for shelter. You are roughly 100 feet from anyone in particular to attack. But if you took your whole turn to run, you could get into some shelter.
I'm gonna make my way towards the closest farmhouse I can see.
Just start booking it for that farmhouse.
Yeah.
I would say you guys are within about 50 feet of one of the farmhouses, so move and dash. If you can charge through the door, you can get into it. You want to try to just put a shoulder down and get through the door?
Yeah.
Give me an athletics check.
Oh.
9. There, you see the very wide frame of Helm just like up against and kind of roll off the door, not quite knocking it down, or even really damaging its structure in particular. But you are still on a porch, which gives you some cover from some people. That's him. Bakab, what are you up to?
There's no one near us at the moment. Like
No,
most of them are
there's
100 feet away.
yeah, there's no one trying to close distance with you. This looks like they're trying to just shoot you from a distance.
Is Caro, did Caro fall in the same direction that Helm was going, or?
Yeah, he went the same way. He only made it about 20 feet though, and then just face first into some hay with several arrows in his back. He's making that noise in the pile of hay.
Is there any line where there's like grass or woods laying in the line? Maybe?
Wait, what? What are you trying to ask about?
Is there any like dry patch of grass or wood lying around?
There's wood around.
Okay, I'm gonna try to burn it.
Just try to burn some random thing, or what?
No, in like some wood lying around on the way to the farmhouse.
Gotcha. What are you trying to accomplish, I guess is what I should ask.
Trying to make like a barricade with fire, sort of.
Oh, trying to give smoke cover to give you guys an option to a spot. You can see that if you could get into the farmhouse, that's probably your best cover, and it's only like 50 feet away to the door. But you do see that Helm just kind of bounced off the door. Didn't get in it yet. But yeah, there's a patch of torn down fence that you could probably light. What do you want to use to try to light that fence?
I'll cast Dragon Breath on myself.
Nice.
Fire. Light it up.
All right. So you go to the corner of the fence and breathe fire on it, and it catches fire, and you've got some smoke, and you feel like that'll give you a little bit of cover at least. All right. We'll say you used like 15 feet of movement or so to get into position, and then you're going to use the rest and try to get to the move towards the house, or?
Then I try to move closer to Carl.
Gotcha. You make it right about to where he is, and it's just that you can see the 2 feet sticking out. What do you call it? Wizard of Oz style. Just like sticking out of the bale of hay. I'm not sure. You can't see him, so it's not sure for sure if he's dead or what's going on with him. But yeah, you're over towards him. Red Knight, you're still kind of reeling around, but just busting out weapons, kind of getting ready to go. But they do go first. There is a call out, just says, "Surround the farmhouse!" And from the elven woman who kind of recruited you all into this. She takes aim, at the Red Knights are only target at the moment. She actually starts approaching slowly, not even like using her full movement. She's just sort of casually strolling towards you. grabs a pair of arrows, strings them up, gives you a little smile, and then takes a shot. Whoop. All right, that is a miss and a crit.
Oh, great.
Whoop. So that is 13 piercing damage. Kind of took. It looks like she took some careful aim, and then just fired both arrows at the same time, almost showing off. Only one of them actually hit, but the other one just kind of went wide. But it did sink in for quite a bit. And she's just like, well, if you lay your weapons down, I guess we could just put you in prison, but that'd be boring. And she keeps like marching towards you. Yeah. So, Red Knight, what are you doing?
I'm gonna start running towards the farmhouse.
Gotcha. You want to try to kick in the door the way Helm attempted?
Yes.
Gotcha. Go for it. Athletics check. 10. You
Door made out.
would. You kick it. You actually do overcome the. I wouldn't say the lock. I would say the latch because it's not locked. So you go and you kick it open, which you realize as it kind of just the way it splinters, the spot it splinters. You're like, oh, that wasn't locked. But door swings open, allows you to just get into the building. And then it would be Helm. The door has been opened, and you are free to run inside the house if you like.
Can I use before that? Can I use a bonus action to use second wind?
Yes, you can. Yeah, you can totally pull a second wind. And Helm.
I'm gonna go in.
Yep. Moving in. There's a large table near the door that could be slid to shut it, although Bakab still needs to get in the house. So you could hold your action to move the dresser if you like.
I'm gonna hold my action to barricade the door once Bakab gets in.
Cool. Very good. Bakab, it's your go.
Well, we don't know if Carl's alive or dead, so can I precipitate some hay over his foot to cover it?
I mean, you can also just grab hay and put it over his foot.
That's true.
Is there a way I could use magic? And it's like, so just in case he's not dead, you're like, all right, might as well hide him. It's just you just brush some hay over him, and then running into the house.
Yep.
All right, Bakab runs by. Helm, like, kicks the door shut, shoves this dresser in the way. Let's have Helm give me another athletics check. Let's see how well you barricade this door.
Good at this.
Should be good at this. 10. Acceptably done. It is shut, and there is a dresser in the way. Everyone got suddenly very, suddenly wounded. Everyone pauses for a moment. You hear a, what's happening? And then a shout out and be like, no witnesses! And the, appears those who are not in the know of what was happening have been killed in the field. And there's a perimeter being established of various soldiers and citizens of the area who have surrounded the farmhouse, have arrows and crossbows knocked and covering every entrance and window. And then this pale female elven individual has marched up kind of near the house, and again has a few arrows like knocked and ready to go, and it's just like, so what are we doing? What's all this about? Where'd the little one go? Looks around. Wait in there for me a moment. I'll be right with you. And she starts to like walk around the front yard, kind of looking around. Looks like she's like trying to find the tracks of Carl.
I knew we shouldn't have trusted her.
What should we do? What should we do?
There's a you guys have a moment as she's like looking around the yard. Looks like she does find the like the initial tracks from the road. If you're watching her from a window, then she finds the initial tracks in the road and starts to like follow them into the yard. What are all of you doing?
I'm going to speak to the shield and kind of request possibly advice on how to get out of this if it has any ideas.
Yeah, make a one of those charisma saving throws.
Yay.
24. If you hear its darkness try to like, as you ask it for help, it just tries to like take over your mind, and you're just like, no. It's just like, Well, I'll tell you one thing you could do. You could kill her.
Seems risky, but acceptable. Not likely to work though.
Well, challenge her to a duel. You have some experience in that now. Ask for a chance to kill her for her position.
Less acceptable.
Well,
I feel she is not honorable enough to accept that without some sort of interference from the guard.
I find people like this, they have their hubris and a one-on-one duel with a god to prove themselves superior. I think she might go for it. Around then, you hear this like, found him! And she's just like, you're looking out the window, you see her just drag the lifeless body of Carl out from underneath the hay and kind of like lift him up and just like shake him a little bit. And it's just like, yep, makes sense. Pulls a rapier and just got a check. Like throws him, ragdoll style, back into the road. Oh, where's the... Nobody brought that one. Oh well. Well, come on then, what are we doing? I can just have the magic-y ones start firing firebolts at the house.
Can I peek my head out of the window and cast Chromatic Orb on her?
Just take a shot at her, yeah. Sure, go for it. Go ahead and do your cast. So you kind of just open the window and fire off your spell at her. At a 13, you watch her kind of like look and like it's flying at her, and she just like moves her head, and the orb just hits behind her. The guys who were waiting to fire at anything they could take their shots. That's a 9 and a 21 to hit. So the 21's gonna hit. So 6 piercing damage. You reach your arm out and like let go of the orb of elemental damage, and then an arrow is like right into the forearm, and you're like, you kind of have to recoil. I don't know why you're making a con save, but the spell does loose but does miss. So you take a few points of damage, and she's just like, all right, fine. Firebolt it! And there's a in from pretty much max range of firebolt. As you hear bits of fire hitting the side of the house. They don't all cause like immediate explosion and flame, so you guys feel like you have a second, but firebolts are being lobbed at the house.
Think of a plan. I can keep the fire at bay. Sort
That's
of.
one option. But we still have so many people surrounding us.
I can make one of you invisible. One of you go out there, grab her, and get this over with.
Wasn't Carl invisible for a bit too, and she totally saw him?
Well, true, but if you happen to take her by surprise, she wouldn't have enough time to react.
I doubt that would work.
Helm, what do you think?
The only advice the shield had was to fight her one-on-one. I doubt that would work. She seems a little too strong.
Search the house. There may be a basement or something.
Nice. Somebody like,
It's a barn, right?
huh?
It's a barn that we went into, right?
It's a farmhouse.
A farmhouse? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So yeah, there could be a root cellar or something. Make an investigation check. And Bacop, you're just going around using prestidigitation to like snuff out the flames that have caught as best you can. Wow. Wow.
Roll 20 is declared that we must die today.
It's like the gods should just burn alive in a farmhouse. Yeah, it turns out. So you all start. All of you, while you're doing this, are just running around the house trying to. Bacob's using prestidigitation to snuff out flames when he can. You can't find the door to the root cellar. You assume there is one. I mean, it's a farmhouse. There should be a root cellar. And you just can't seem to find wherever the hatch is or what's going on. Let's see. Everybody give me a perception check. So the Red Knight, as you guys are running around looking for options, you look in the distance, and right on the edge of where you can see, you see a familiar bioluminescent like flicker, several hundred feet off, and you remember the panther-like shadow creatures that you all fought off. You remember that bioluminescent flicker, and it's like as you look out, you got high enough, you see out in the distance that it is several individuals seem to be approaching the farmhouse. As you can see, the fire is starting to catch on the roof, and it's becoming like this large like signal house to the darkness. And you can see that there is an approaching small like cadre of these bioluminescent panthers they use their like light flashes to like communicate with each other in the darkness, and they seem to be going and to flank this side of the barn or of the farmhouse. As you do, a few things occur to you. You are in a firehouse, or you are in a farmhouse that is currently on fire. There are shadow creatures that are attacking from the east, and then there is this lady who is on the west. So what do you guys want to do?
I'm going to relay this information to them, and I'm going to say, I would rather... Oh, it depends on how we want to die today. Do we want to die by shadow panthers or by an evil elf lady?
We're not gonna die. If we can't find an opening, we'll make an opening.
Helm, you do spot that the table, like the kitchen table in this farmhouse, is pretty big, and it's like thick oak. It would, if one of you wants to forego wielding shield or weapon, you could totally hold this up as cover from a direction. You got a big old farm table right there.
Is there a back?
I'm going to drop my hammer and pick up that table.
Gotcha.
It might be useful for now.
Dismissing your hammer and just picking up the table. It's a little awkward to hold, even for you, like, to hold one-handed, so you might have to put away your shield as well. But it seems possible to use it as cover for something.
Can I look around and see if there's a back door?
Yeah, there's a door to the back, and you can. That's where you can. As you look out now, you see those same bioluminescent like flashes in a couple spots as there is a almost completely silent pouncing of half a dozen individuals that have been keeping the perimeter out there, and they've all been focused on the farmhouse, and from their back just and it's just like you hear these just, out in the shadows, outside of anybody's dark vision range, as people are being currently mauled by beasts over there. And there's a call from the other side of the house from the leader, who's just like, what's happening over there? And yeah, what are y'all doing?
I think we should run. As soon as the leader goes around to investigate the whatever the Panthers, we have to go.
I'm gonna make my way over to the west side and kind of hold the table up like in front of me, and I'm gonna yell to her, "Your men are being attacked on the other side of the house. That might be important to you."
You are unable to see her reaction from that side, but go ahead and give me a persuasion check.
Yes.
Like I said, you can't see her, so you don't know what her reaction was, but you are all starting to smell the smoke of the roof starting to burn in. Everybody also make just like an intelligence check or a history check if you've got it. So, you guys are aware, thinking back, how she walked around the city like she owned the place. So when you're thinking about making a run for it, there's the thought of, where are you gonna run? It seems like she has relative full control over any officials within the city. The cob is muted.
Okay. I have a possible idea. It's a risky one, but it's an idea.
Go for it.
Okay, I will start making a bunch of. I will use thunderclap to make a bunch of loud noises to hopefully attract the panthers nearest us.
Nice. It's just you're gonna. That's the like 5 feet around you cantrip, or.
Yeah, this is the 5 feet around me.
Gotcha. So you kind of move off to a corner. There's this gagoosh, 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 and it's several like thunderclaps, destroying furniture and things around you within this farmhouse, and making large noises, so possibly attracting more dark creatures to the area. But the room is also starting to fill with smoke. You guys are going to start choking on it here in a second.
Can someone try to bust down the floor? Maybe if we bust down the floor, there's something down here.
We gotta leave.
Bust through the floor? What?
There may be a basement. There's a floor.
There's not necessarily a basement.
So what are you doing?
I'm gonna go through the door that we barricaded that the elf was on, like that side. Go outside.
All right, make an athletics check. Just to move the dresser and get the door to let Helm run out with the table for cover. Nice. So in a moment of as the smoke kind of comes down and you can see it thick and hear the crackling, almost getting to where you're gonna have to either like duck or breathe it. You just move the dresser and kick the door the wrong way off the hinges, and it's just out the front. Helm running out with the table, creating cover. You guys can give me a perception check as you run out of this house. In between screams of people being attacked by the creatures in the night, you can hear this like "Arr! Arr!" And as like one after another, these things seem to be getting. You don't see the lady, but you can hear the sound of these creatures being pelted with arrows. Apparently, getting them off of her compatriots as you all start making a run for it. The further question of where are you running?
Bakab, where were you last when you left the group? Which way did you go?
Do I remember which way I went?
West. You guys went to a location to the west.
Like directly
So we're
west, or like
going
a little,
to
like,
the
north
Panthers.
or south?
It's relatively directly west on the map to the next country. It's just a few days to the border, and then a few more days to the city that you Bakab went to with Corlin.
I say we go a bit south and then start heading west as soon as it were clear.
Gotcha. So you're heading south. Currently, south is just towards the city, but you guys can go past the city at some point. There's a.
Are there like woods around us that we can go through?
Yeah, you guys can start making a break for like a tree line, trying to get some cover. One thing that happens. That would be against Helm. I would say roll a percentile for me, like just a 2d10 or a d10 and another d10.
I think you can roll a 100 on.
I think you can, but 5 and 1, 51. There's an arrow. An arrow strikes you as you guys are getting a few hundred feet away from the from this location. It actually goes through the corner of your cover and just strikes through, and then you can kind of pull it off. It's gets you for 4 damage, and there is a note tied on the back of it as you guys are running. You get to the point where you feel like you're out of range and can kind of ditch the table and get moving a little faster. Checking out, there's a note on it that says, thanks for helping me get one of you. I'll get the rest of you soon. And there's a signing on it that just has has YL on the signing. You never got the lady's name, so you're not sure what it stands for. But you all run into the night, pretty heavily wounded, apparently dodging some sort of inquisitor type who's hunting you all, nearly caught by a trap meant to pincer and kill 4 gods, where she only got 1. Poor Carl. Just met him. Didn't even get his cowboy hat.
I don't miss him.
Don't miss him. He was kind of a shit. We're totally honest about the guy. And who knows if it was actually Carl Glittergold. Could have been anybody named Carl who was a halfling and apparently a god. Who knows? So yeah, you all are dashing into the night. You already had actually most of your stuff on you because you all left your little home area for that. You're a little afraid to be heading back into the city, so I imagine are y'all just trying to book it west to get to wherever Bakab went?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Trying to get out of there. All right. Well, I think we'll just call it there for the day then. And you all managed to not die, which was relatively impressive, actually. Made use of some scenarios and stuff, and I'm very glad no one's dead. Well, except for Carl. All right.
But we don't care about him.
You don't really care about Carl.
Carl.
I'm sure Carl was someone's backup character, but Carl's got too many arrows in him. Funny thing, I was rolling his death saves, as he wasn't instantly dead, and he made it a full 5 turns before he actually died, before he had a nat 1 on his last death save. Poor Carl.
Didn't the elf lady like stab him?
Yeah,
Oh,
that was
yeah.
just like for good measure. It seems like he was like already dead.
Wouldn't that made him fail immediately?
He was already dead. It was just like
Oh,
just
okay.
picked up the body and just.
Being attacked makes you fail 2 death saving throws.
Yeah.
Not kill you instantaneously.
Right. Already dead though. He was beating a dead halfling instead of a horse.
Definitely,
All right. We will see how you all do getting to another country, as it seems like there's some sort of powerful, connected individual who is trying to murder all of you here. So, everybody take care of yourselves. We will see you next week. Probably with a longer session, because this one was a little toss-up-y, because I didn't have a good idea on where you guys were actually going to head. But now that we got a direction, we should have a good idea what's going on. We will see y'all next time. May the gods be with you.
Never.
Bye!
Bye.